The Joburg Film Festival is hosting the world premiere of Sebata, The Beast, a psychological thriller written and directed by Norman Maake, Abafana Ababi, and produced by Princess Rose Mhlongo. Now, this gripping film follows aging detective Mzi and his young, skeptical partner Kgoro as they investigate the brutal killings of young children. Rumors of a mythical beast cast a dark shadow over the case, blurring the lines between reality and the supernatural. And the two join us this morning. A very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us.
It's an absolute pleasure. I'm going to start with you, Princess. You know, when one watches this film, obviously they go through different fields, and I suppose that's the whole intention of a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
So how then did you support Norman's vision for this, before it came to fruition?
Yeah, so this script that Norman wrote has been in his cupboard for a long time. And I think when I got my hands on it, I thought it was a very important story to tell.
Yeah.
And as a team, we had a very supportive team, creatively, and the crew as well. So it was important to just have everyone on the same vision on why it's important to tell this story. Even while we were shooting, there were cases of children missing, and we wanted to really be authentic in how we tell the story.
You asked a question that I want to ask you. Why was it important to tell the story? What is that story that needs to be told?
I mean, we've all seen it in the news. There's people going missing, and we don't have answers of what's really happening.
Yeah.
And I think Norman wanted to interrogate this and see how, putting it in fiction, how this narrative really comes across. So we're very excited to see how the audience, receives this type of genre as well. Thrillers are not something we see in the African context, so it's very exciting to see how the audience reacts, and I think as a community to challenge ourselves in the type of movies that we engage with, so I think that's what's exciting for me, to see just a different genre, being in the Joburg Film Festival that really speaks to us as the continent.
Yeah. Norman, let me also bring you in.
Yes,
directing a film of this nature is multi-layered. There's so many, moving parts. There's so many different elements into it. And how did you then draw from your own experiences in crafting this narrative?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I've been directing for quite some time now.
Yeah.
So it helps to, draw from experience where you've done television.
Yes.
And you've done a lot of film, you've done commercials, so you kind of draw from what you have. But I'd never done a film that forced me emotionally to go there. Like a lot of times I deal with something that's fiction, something that's very light, But this one, it was like, wow, this is a film where it's about reality and these things that happen. And so that took like I had to dig deep to find the honesty of how to put across this film. And at the same time, I had to understand that it's not a documentary. So it's a fiction, it's a piece of fiction. So when people go out, they also need to watch it with the sense of, what's going to happen next? What movies are like, it's like, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And so I had to also craft that in there, so that I'm telling, the real story, but at the same time, I know that I have an audience who wants to also take part of, inside the story.
And I suppose that contrast makes it even more interesting. I mean, the fact that you say it is a reality, and then on the other hand, you say that it is fiction.
Yeah.
Then it leads to my question then, how did you manage to blend elements of mystery and of, the supernatural mystery in Sebata?
I think that's going to be the fun part,
Yeah.
because I think one of the things that I went out with as a director was, I don't want someone to be watching the film and feel like, it's Americans trying to do another story of South Africans,
Okay.
and taking the whole Muti murder or our African spirituality and trying to make the world understand.
Right.
So I took the point of view that, hey, this story, it's about us. And I'm going to tell it like how we watch films. So part of your question is also, what is horror to us, And that was for me, how do we blend the mystery into it? Because I had to understand for us, what is horror?
Yeah.
So instead of doing the tropes of, where you'd see in Western films and it's like, oh, this is what's scary, I had to dig deep and go, but what is scary for us? And kind of try to put the theatrics of that, because that's what cinema does. It's the theatrics of, oh, this is scary, so this is how I'm going to shoot it so that the audience can participate and understand, or scare the audience. You know? Yeah.
Now, Princess, just picking up on what Norman has said, I mean, the fact that it is, horror and it is theatrics, what did you have in mind? Did you have in mind the audience reaction, or how they view the story, or how they look themselves in this particular story, or you're simply telling a story from your own viewpoint?
I think it's a bit of everything, really. Norman obviously had a vision, and bringing that to life, the audience is definitely going to feel and connect in a lot of ways, So there's no way that we can create something without putting them in mind. Even in the edit process, it was constantly asking Norman and Tongai, how is the audience going to feel in this moment? How do we bring it more using music, special effects, how do we really bring that across to get that reaction or feeling? Sometimes it's just in silence, sometimes it's really using the music and different elements to bring this across,
All right, I'm sure this is an absolute must-see. So when can we expect the premiere?
The premiere is happening today at the Theatre on the Square, part of Joburg Film Festival, as you mentioned. It's at 2:30.
Okay.
Tickets are still available, so people can still go online and book under The Beast on Joburg Film Festival's website. And tomorrow, tomorrow, Sunday, at the Artistry at 5:30.
Okay.
Yes.
We certainly cannot wait to see your magic on stage.
thank
Lovely
you so
chatting to you.
much.
Hey.
Thank you so
Likewise,
much.
thank you.
Well, as the lights dim on the world premiere of Sebata the Beast, we're left with a haunting and unforgettable cinematic experience. Norman Maake's masterful direction and Princess Rose Mhlongo's expert production have brought to life a gripping thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat.